really observant person. And dude was also a real estate agent, and he owned a lot of properties. He would be on the phone nonstop, and I would be at his house, and he'd be on the phone. I could never distinguish the difference between him talking to a family member, a friend, a client, or a tenant. And because he focused on being interested and not interesting, he was focused on a depth of conversation. He would be talking to people who were tenants saying, how did your kid do in that soccer game? How did your daughter do on the test? Hey, you know, I know you and your wife were struggling a couple weeks ago. How's that relationship going? He dove deep because he cared about people. And my biggest lesson came when I was sitting at his funeral, and the church was packed, 500 people. And I watched family get up there and talk about him. I watched friends get up there and talk about him. But tenants, people he was a landlord to, got up there and spoke about John Banyan with love in their heart, with care. And pause on that for 1 second. How many tenants do you know would get up there at a funeral and speak about their landlord? Well, there you go. There you go. So, and the reason I'm sharing this story is because we all are going to leave a legacy. The question is, what do we want our legacy to look like, right? And so I'm going to go through this presentation, if we can kind of go through this, if you don't mind. I don't know where the clicker is. So I'm a big believer in being the author of your impact. I'm going to go through this quick because I know everybody's got short on time, but I'm going to hit on some important things. I believe we lead with legacy. What do we want our legacy to look like? We lead with that, right? So we all leave a legacy. We talked about that. What do you want yours to look like? Legacy isn't later. It's now. The way that we impact somebody today, the way that we make somebody feel today is our legacy. Our legacy isn't when we were past. Our legacy is now. What are we doing to create that legacy? Every one of us in this room, every one of us is a leader. We're influencing somebody. I don't care if that's our kids, our spouses, our friends, but all of us here are influencing our clients, right? You're leading your clients out there. You're leading them to the dream of home ownership. You are making a difference and you are making an impact. It's an important responsibility and it's an honor that we get to serve our clients. I like this quote, the more important the call, the more resistance you'll feel. So let me give you an example of that. There's two ways I feel there's resistance. One is when we want to go to the next level in something, when we want a bigger life, right? When we want to fulfill that greatness that we have. And maybe that's going from serving 5 families a year to maybe that's serving 10 families a year. There's going to be resistance there. Why? What is that resistance? Well, guess what? There's nothing, there's going to be a change, right? So there's nothing new in the known. There is nothing new in the known, right? Everything that we know, everything that we do, everything that we've accomplished, we already know it. And going into anything new is the unknown. And there's resistance to the unknown, right? So I want you to think about that. The other part where we find resistance is when we're doing something that is somebody else's dream. We're not chasing ours, we're chasing maybe what our parents wanted us to be, or what our parents wanted us to do, or what social media says we should do. Those are resistance points that we have. Fulfillment equals success. Look, at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in being fulfilled over having financial success. Financial success is great. Power can be great. Fame can be great. But we all know famous, rich people that aren't fulfilled, right? You can see a lot of that anywhere. Our greatest fulfillment comes from serving others. I want you guys to think about that for a minute. Think about a time when you served a client and you really went out of your way and you really did some tremendous things. And maybe you didn't even get a thank you, but how did that feel serving that client out of the goodness of your heart for no other reason? How fulfilling does that feel? To serve well, you have to know yourself first. Fulfillment's an inside job. My belief is for us to be able to really serve others, it starts with knowing ourselves. And guess what? We're kind of like an onion that we continue to peel back layer after layer after layer. And I don't believe that we ever get to the core But I believe if we really, truly want to be able to be as effective as people and make the impact that we want to make, that we want to know ourselves and have that awareness around ourselves. Look, we all have a story. Does your story today serve who you are? Or are you telling yourself an old story that's on repeat, that's limiting you from where you want to go, from what you want to achieve? I know for me, I've struggled with stories. I can remember a time where I felt like my father was comparing me to everybody, and I wasn't good enough. I wasn't enough. I compared to myself to where I would be better or less than somebody else. And I'll tell you what, comparison is a thief of joy. And about 30 years ago, I'm having a conversation with my dad. We weren't close. And you know what he said to me? He said, you know, Michael, when I was working for this guy back in the day, my boss, he always compared me to other salespeople. So I was carrying a story from a story that was told to my dad. And we can allow stories to interfere with our lives and to limit us and for not allow us to live the life that we want. We're the author of our stories. The beautiful thing, we can change our story. We can change our story right now. We're the author. Why not be the hero of your story? Be the hero of your story. Think about that. Your greatness is unique. Do not borrow somebody else's. We all have greatness. We all have greatness. It's different for everybody, but it's all there. Everybody's created with their own greatness. Tap into that. I'm a big believer in vulnerability. How do we really get our clients to be vulnerable with us? We have to lead with vulnerability. Empathy for others and ourselves. If anybody out there is like me, you can be your own worst critic, right? Beat ourselves up for maybe not doing something, right? We're all going through something, aren't we? We're sitting in the room earlier, and I can't remember our gentleman's name that was going to do the video for us.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Rafael.
Rafael. Guess what? He's sitting there, and he's like, uh-oh, my wife's water just broke. I gotta go. Right? So think about that. We're all going through something. Have empathy on others and empathy on ourselves. Brene Brown. I don't know if any of you have Brene Brown, know Brene Brown. If you don't, you got to listen to a podcast of hers. She is incredible, very incredible. You would love her. She does a great TED Talk. Got to check her out. Growth with intention. Purpose. What's your why? Gary Keller says it. One thing, right? What's your why? What is your why? If you don't know your why, guess what? It's going to be hard to get out of bed. It's going to be hard to be inspired. It's going to be hard to accomplish what you want to accomplish because your why is what drives you. When people say, hey, how do I find inspiration? Well, why are you doing what you're doing? That's what you need to find out. If you haven't identified that, I would say really spend some time finding what that is. Awareness. We talked about that a moment ago. Self-discovery to self-mastery. I don't really believe there is self-mastery, but I believe that there is continuous self-discovery. It's a lifelong practice. I love this quote. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. It's Viktor Frankl. I've had the error of having stimulus, especially in our business, right? And I've responded really quickly. And when I do that, I don't always respond in the way that I want to be. And so I've learned to have a pause between when I get that stimulus to that response, right? And especially in our business, people, there's a lot of stress that can happen, right? And there's a lot of people involved. And we can allow things that we can't control us if we don't slow that response down. Alignment, values, beliefs, and actions. Look, at the end of the day, if my values and beliefs don't align with my actions, I'm not going to achieve what I want to achieve. And there's a lot of times I'll say, hey, you know what? I want to be X, Y, and Z. But my actions don't align with the X and Y. And so I don't get my Z because my actions don't align with that. Alignment is critical. So if I believe and value integrity, but then I'm doing fraud on my loans, that's not alignment, right? And I'm not going to have the right life. I'm not going to have the fulfillment. You know why? Because there's no alignment. So whatever that is, Maybe you change your actions, or maybe you change your beliefs and your values. But it's one of the two. If those don't align, you've got to change one or the other, right? You've got to have alignment in order to have a fulfilled life. And let's hope the alignment isn't doing fraud and mortgages. Environment. Set yourself up for success and remove your obstacles. So that's important. And here's the thing. We used to work more often out of an office, right? Today, we work out of the home a lot, right? That's not always the most conducive thing to prospecting, right? Because I want to get on the phone, but I also have to do laundry. What am I going to do? And guess what? There's a little resistance when we're prospecting, isn't there? Right? There's not much resistance to doing the laundry except for folding. There's resistance there for me. But we've got to set ourselves up for success. If I want to get up and work out in the morning, what do? You know what I do? I put my shoes, my shorts, and my shirt right there next to the bed. So when I get out of bed, it's right there. It's easy. It makes it happen. And I love Jenny's ice cream. I don't know if any of you have had Jenny's ice cream. Their High Five candy bar flavor is the best by far, no question about it. But I know I don't have resistance to that, so I don't leave that sucker in my freezer. I can't, because I'll eat it all in one sitting. I'll actually have two of them if I have to. Course correction, it's a constant. So I'm a big boater. I have a boat, right? So I live in Dana Point. I head out to Catalina Islands, about 32 miles out. My heading on my compass needs to be 244 degrees. If that is 243 degrees, I will miss the island. I continually have to correct course. But here's what I want to say. It's never in a straight line. The course is still like this. Even if I put the autopilot on, it'll go to 240, it'll go to 250, but you keep centering, you keep centering, you keep centering. We're going to get off course, everybody. That's okay. Just keep correcting it. Keep correcting it. It's okay. It's never a straight line to success. It's a wobble. But you'll get there if you stay and hold the course. Manifesting. Here's one that I'm a big believer in. We talk about manifesting as in manifesting these great things in life, right? And you can. But here's the thing. Where we're at today has been manifested by our beliefs coupled with our actions, right? Now, we can manifest whatever we want, but you got to have the beliefs and the action behind it. It's just not going to happen if I say I wish it, right? It's like the guy who prayed to God every day and said, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery. And after a year of praying, God finally answers him and says, you got to buy the ticket. You got to buy the ticket, right? You got to show up. And showing up in our business is 80% of the victory. Showing up in our business is 80% of the victory. You got to show up to have success. Joe Dispenza, I just mentioned him to you. Joe Dispenza is awesome. If you guys haven't listened to Joe Dispenza, again, put on a podcast. Joe Dispenza is a powerful speaker. Your personality creates your personal reality. I want you guys to really listen to that, Google that. On Joe Dispenza, listen to that podcast. It will blow you away. Daily routine, super simple. Here's a daily routine I think that will help you in achieving what you want to achieve. Write your intention for the day in the morning. Today I want to be bold, right? I want to be bold. Don't we all want to be bold? That's what our job calls for that, right? Getting out there and making the calls we need to make. Whether that's bad news, whether that's prospecting, whatever it is. So I want to be bold, whatever your intention is for that day, right? Then write 3 things that you're grateful for. 3 things. Look, and that might be, hey, I woke up this morning. It might be that I'm glad I have a heater. It might be that, you know what, I'm above ground. There's a lot of different things that we have to be grateful for. And the more that we are grateful for, the more things that we will find to be grateful for. Okay? And at the end of the day, one area did we succeed? What one area were we bold, or whatever our intention from that morning was? And what was one area we could have done a little bit better at? If that takes you more than 5 minutes total, I would be surprised. This is easy practice to implement, and I hope you're able to do it. I've got a list of books in this. I would highly recommend any and all these books. The 2 easiest to read and 2 that are super impactful, I think they're all really impactful, is the 4 Agreements. I don't see the 4 Agreements on there, but the 5th Agreement also. So the 4 Agreements and the 5th Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz. Easy books to read, super impactful, and that's what I'll leave you with. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mike.